Are you ready, Anthony? Because we're live right now. I hope you're ready. How are you doing, my friend?
Born ready.
All right, here we go.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, Anthony Melchiori, look at me on the show floor at AHOACon 2022 in Baltimore. And look at you hanging out in Central Park yet again in the fall.
Yes, sir. It's not the fall. It's the spring.
Yeah.
The spring color. So, hey, I got a couple things to talk about.
Yeah.
First thing is I was getting off a Delta flight yesterday.
Right.
I usually don't take two planes. I usually have a direct flight.
Right.
And so I'm changing planes, and I was delayed, so it was a very, very tight connection. And I'm looking at, all right, I think I can make it, but it's going to be, it's Atlanta. I was connecting in Atlanta, and Atlanta is crazy big. Mm-hmm. And I get off the plane, and there's a sign with my name on it. As soon as I get off the plane, I didn't even go down the jetway.
Really?
I'm curious. So I was like, I didn't hit anybody on the plane.
I think I know what's happening. Go on.
Tell me what happened. Tell me what happened.
I think you got a ride on the runway in a vehicle.
They put me in a Porsche and ran across the jetway to get me to my gate on time.
Oh, that is so cool.
Has that happened to you before?
I never did that, but I did do something similar when I had the opportunity, thanks to our good friend David Lim over at the TSA. They got the PS private suites over at LAX airport where the celebrities go. So I had the opportunity once to go and do that whole experience. And at the end of it, they put you in the fancy car and they drive you right up the tarmac, right next to those outside stairs. And then you walk up the outside stairs like a boss and get in the plane.
It was good is that it got me there a few minutes early so I can change my clothes because I didn't want to travel with the clothes I was wearing. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have time when I got to the airport to do that. So when I got to the second airport, I had time to do that. So it was perfect. I had time to get a bite to eat before I got on the plane.
Nice.
Actually, it's the first time I really felt like my diamond status outside of the upgrades got me something.
That's awesome. That's really fun. Well, I'll tell you, we're talking about getting people something. We're going to talk today a little bit about data science and getting hoteliers more opportunities out there. So let's bring in our guests today. We've got Garth Peterson and Mike Chuma, our good friends over at IDeaS. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Thanks, Glenn.
I'm very excited to have you here. So as we get the conversation started, I want to tell everybody a little bit about what you are all about. Then we're going to get into the history of data science and stuff like that. Now, for those of you who don't know, these guys have been around for 30 years. How incredible is that, guys?
It's pretty amazing. Yeah. Yep. So what we're doing these days is pretty much continuing to drive innovation, drive capabilities into the hotel revenue management space, but it's going way beyond. Mm-hmm. Tying that back to one of the fantastic opening sessions here at AHOACon was the idea of profits instead of revenue. And that's one of the things that we are continuing to double down on with the partnership with a lot of folks here at AHOACon and identifying ways to continue to make hoteliers more profit.
Right. Garth, how about you?
Yeah, for sure. It's echoing what Mike said. We're seeing a lot of good conversation, a lot of interest and appetite amongst hoteliers to really utilize technology, not just as tools, but as really a kind of a shift in their business process and the way they think about the relationship between their hotels, the guests, the users, and technology.
Hey, Mike, can I have you pull in your microphone a little bit so we can hear you a little bit more clear? I just didn't want to interrupt Garth on that one.
Yeah, how's that?
Pretty good. So why is data science so important and how is it really relevant to today?
Well, you got to think about data science. It's not necessarily, data science is a part of it. It's a part of the mix. What's really important is what you use that data for, how you create information, but most importantly, how you make it actionable for the hoteliers, whether you're at the property, you're at the cluster, you're at the corporate level. We focus, and what the industry should focus on is not just data science, but making sure that you can take the vast amounts of data, turn that into something that's meaningful either to the property or the system, and then ensure that you've got the right decisions that come out of it, because that's what is going to drive the automation, the quality, and again, more money.
Yeah. Garth, how about you?
Yeah, well, I think that we're on the right track with Mike's comments there, but one of the things that I like to continue to focus on is the accessibility of that technology to that end user, to that hotel operator. If they don't understand it, they don't trust it,
they're not going to engage in it. And so the adoption of the tools and the capabilities are paramount in everything that we're designing and building.
Right. Hey, Anthony?
Yeah, listen, today, if you don't have this kind of technology and you don't have this kind of analysis, you're not making as much money as you can. So I think it's critical.
Yeah,
Absolutely right.
Absolutely. So, we're at AHOA, and it's great to see all of these people getting together. There's thousands and thousands of people here. They're originally expecting 4,000, then they realized they needed to up it because they had 5,200 registered. I think they're either side of 58 to 6,000 people here right now. So, what are you guys learning here by talking to the people? What are some of the issues that you're seeing, and what are you thinking in general? Yeah.
Sure, I'll take that.
Yeah.
They're asking questions about the technology. They're asking very mature questions that I haven't seen.
So they're just asking
10 years
questions
ago.
about senior citizens. I'm confused.
Well, they're asking questions about the technology.
Right.
They're asking questions about their
right.
other
It's no longer
technology systems.
101. They're getting a little bit deeper
The
in the
maturity
conversation.
of this audience, of the questions that they're asking around technology is compelling for me.
Yeah.
I've been with IDeaS for 15 years, and I can see the general tone and the expertise evolving over that time period. So they're asking about integrations too with different systems. They're asking about the contribution from their brand and how the brands are talking to us about technology.
Yeah. If you guys want, if you just pull the mic in closer, then you won't have to feel awkward and lean. There you go.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, gentlemen. It's easier to hear you.
Yeah, because Anthony's in another state, so you know how it goes.
You're dealing with the most senior clientele. You're dealing with the most 2-3 generations of hotel owners.
That's right.
That has seen people that are trying to sell them things they don't need. People that are trying to get over on them, people that are just trying to use their hotels to get to the next level. And so initially this audience is skeptical. Yeah. So you have to really know your stuff, which you do. And once they see it, and once they know that it's a real technology that can really help them, then they tell everybody. That's one audience that will tell everybody about what they're using. But it's probably the most difficult conference to be at as far as questions. You guys are laughing.
And keeping up with the alcohol consumption. That's tough too.
Well, that takes practice. But Anthony, you're absolutely correct. But to continue on with what Garth was saying is that the questions, they are more mature, but the thing is that there's an openness to this audience, and there is an interaction because of the skepticism, and that makes us better as an industry. It makes us better as a company. And one of the things that we absolutely love to do here is to not just talk to the most senior folks. We want to talk to the people who are the owners of the properties, who are the franchisees of these brands, because we can take, and we do take that feedback and those questions back to our product teams, back to our strategy teams. And that's what informs our product development. It's what informs the way that we enable their success through enablement programs, educational opportunities, etc. It just makes us better.
So if I get this product, right? So you're talking to a hotel guy one-on-one, right? I get this. What does this product do for my hotel?
Go ahead.
Well, it depends on the product that you're talking about, but in general, revenue management, it's almost like it is becoming a critical system to the property and to the hotel group.
I would say already is.
Well, yeah, right? Thank you.
Yeah.
The thing is that there's ways that people can tell you that they can do these same functions. And they can, but if you're running a hotel, if you're in times of short labor staffing, you're having to figure out where you're going to get your labor coverage, all of those other things. If you roll that in, you're able to make better, faster decisions. I'll give you an example of a conversation that we were having today. We were talking to a gentleman, has some extended stay properties, has some other things, and he was talking about how he was doing business development out into those extended stay properties. In some cases, yeah, they're doing spreadsheets. They have a lighter weight revenue management system, but they were only able to optimize their rates once a week. When they took once a week, right?
That's like that's to me like seasonal back 20 years ago.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
Actually, that upsets me.
It makes me feel a little
that somebody's trying to sell somebody a product now day and age that is once a week is infuriating.
So by just that simple use case, just by taking into consideration and by rolling out some of our levels of product, whether it be very lightweight or very automated and incredibly sophisticated, they were able to change that from once a week all the way down to what's called continuous. So if the market changes, we can pump out a new rate, and we can automatically do that to make that property more competitive in their competitive set.
Wow. That's really essential right there. So Garth, you've been with them, you said 15 years. As a matter of fact, I feel like our entire friendship has been, you've been working for IDeaS, for example. What attracted you to them so long ago when, I mean, they'd already been in business for 15 years, but the technology was not in the zeitgeist of the hotelier?
That's right. Well, I mean, prior to IDeaS, I had a 15-year career in the hotel business directly. Right. And worked as an operator, general manager, director of sales.
You even worked at a hotel right here in Baltimore.
I sure did, just across the street. In one point in my career. But my last hotel career job was the director of revenue management of a 4-star hotel, and I was actually recruited to come to IDeaS. My predecessor had left the business, and I got the recruiter call. And I made the tough decision to jump out of the hotel business and into the hotel technology business.
Yeah, that's a big lifestyle change.
It was a leap of faith, but I'm glad I did it, and it certainly worked out. After 15 years, I'm still here.
Yeah, for sure. I can't believe you've been there for so long. All right, so I'm really curious then. What are generally speaking are you seeing out there when it comes to the sophistication of owners and their operators when it comes to revenue management, if they're left alone to their own devices?
Your question is the sophistication, et cetera. If they're left to their own devices, I think I'll tie it back to a keynote yesterday, right? Which is choose the right technology. And we've seen that being incredibly, that pull through is so much more, I guess, widespread. People understand now, and it could be COVID, it could be, and this movement was actually taking place prior to COVID, but it allowed a wider spread knowledge and the pull through of why they needed to choose the right technologies. And it's not a conversation of, I need to spend another $1,400 a month and you're going to eat into my profits. It's, I realize that I need to have this, or I'm not going to be able to hit that profit level to begin with.
Right.
No, it's interesting to me because when these kind of systems started to come out and people were like, well, I don't need it. I don't even need a revenue manager. And then obviously everybody got more sophisticated, and then they started overriding these systems. So how do you, once you sell the system and you get the system into the hotel, how do you train the revenue manager or the ownership to not override it? I'll be the first one to say, I was always asking my revenue manager, did you override it? What did you do? Like, not your system, but in general, that's your first inclination is the system working? And are you overriding it too much? Are you overriding it enough? Are you overriding it at all?
Right. So that's a really good point. I guess we're talking about trust here, right?
We're in the trust business. This is critical. We talked about the adoption and the usability. There is a trust factor. And again, going back a few years, there was a natural apprehension for this technology because people were not familiar with it. It was new to so many hoteliers at that time. But today that is less of an issue, and there's such rich training and enablement tools around the technologies from IDeaS, certainly, in the way that we train, the way that we have a moment of need capabilities and help and show me's in the application. It drives the trust, it drives the engagement and use of the tools.
What's the latest update in the system, like that you could be able to do that you weren't able to do 5 years ago?
Well, there's quite a bit. I mean, that's a pretty broad question.
It's all right. We got some time.
That's okay.
Why is that funny?
It's not funny. I think it's because
Glenn was laughing at me.
I'm laughing because they're constantly updating and they're very, very focused on being in the present moment and thinking ahead to the future.
Yeah, to give you an example, in our flagship product, we release code up to every 2 weeks, whether it be our monthly releases to our clients and then the patch releases out to that. So we're in a continuous mode. One of the things that we really focused on from a conceptual standpoint, and it's starting to be pulled through into the industry, is what I said at the top of the podcast, which is profit. Right? Yeah. Everybody thinks that profit is really difficult to get to because you need data from other parts of the hotels. In many cases, in your large casinos, your all-inclusives, that's somewhat true. There is an investment that you're going to have to make. But it comes down to that simple thing, which is, why don't I start looking at my channel costs? And if you can put in your channel costs and you can start looking at your booking pace, you can get an idea of what your labor estimation might be. then you're starting to have not a revenue conversation, you're having a profit conversation.
Right.
So we've invested heavily into that. Anything else you can think of?
One of the capabilities I was going to add,
Yeah.
Anthony, to your question was traditionally a system such as revenue management technology is pricing the best available rate. They're pricing one product. And a capability we've got today that we didn't have a few years ago was now the ability to price multiple products independently. So we can price the bar and we can price an advanced purchase rate, for example, or potentially a loyalty rate independent of that bar price. Just that the technology richness is growing so much over the last few years. Hoteliers are really benefiting from that now.
And
Right.
I'm sorry, Glenn.
I was just say bar means best available rate for those who might not know. Anthony, take it away.
Are you using this system for other businesses outside the hotel business?
In some cases, yes, but we have separate systems that optimize different aspects. So if you may know, or the industry may know, in some cases that we do optimize airport parking. The New York and New Jersey Port Authority as a client, Sydney Airport, Heathrow has been one of our long-standing customers of airport parking optimization.
Well, and let me add to that, if I could, Glenn, just to answer your question, it's not just about hotels and resorts. Within the broader accommodation business, we've got plenty of examples where we're working in holiday parks in other parts of the world, or large campground operations. They behave very much the same way with a inventory, a perishable inventory, nightly rates. These businesses are also growing their sophistication into dynamic pricing, revenue management.
Right.
Apart hotels, certainly in some cases, short-term rental, vacation rental, inventory operators have a lot to gain from revenue management technology as well.
Mike?
Well, I was going to add on, but he kind of took what I wanted to say. However,
you can just say it again with different words.
Well, no, I don't ever. You can't top perfection.
Yeah.
But the other aspect here, Anthony, I think the larger answer to your question is that it's not just about this gigantic, really complex revenue management system for a upper upscale or a luxury hotel anymore. We've democratized the ability to have a revenue management system that has the same optimization intelligence, has the same algorithms that can give you those competitive benefits on getting those rates out. But we've interacted with folks here at AHOA to ensure that we can build it in a way that can be consumed, although it's at the limited service and the economy level, understanding that they need this. And I think that's one of the things that we've done is we built a system and we've augmented our system to be more democratized.
That's Anthony, go ahead. Sorry.
What keeps you up at night?
Well,
too much caffeine.
I mean, other than I used to be able to say my kids,
right?
But they're now sleeping through the night.
Yeah.
What keeps me up at night is the continued thought that you can do just as good with a little bit less. And as a hotelier, if you're not keeping your hotel clean 100% of the time, then your hotel's dirty. And if you're not keeping your revenue management strategy clean 100% of the time, then your revenue strategy is dirty. And one of the things that I think that we really strive to try to ensure that our clients and the industry themselves can keep a clean revenue strategy and what we call a connected commercial strategy is choosing the right system and understanding that you don't have to choose another system that's either rules-based or choice-based or requires you to push buttons when you don't need to.
Right. That's fascinating to me. So we're talking about, you mentioned channel and different stuff like that. So how are you thinking about managing the cost of the channels in order to create the right strategy that has the right mix from all the different places to maximize that profitability for an owner?
Take that?
Yeah, absolutely. So understanding your channel cost as well as your channel contribution in parallel, all of your regular segments, and the overlay of these things. Once you know the value and the volume of all the different bits of your business, including channel, then putting that puzzle together is reasonably easy from an optimization standpoint. The challenge becomes the distribution of such controls, given the operator's appetite to restrict particular channels, or sometimes there are contractual obligations with distribution partners would be a barrier. But the technology is evolving very quickly to the point where we can do that.
Right. Hey, Anthony, do you want to talk? There's an announcement going on right now.
I can't really hear it.
Yeah, well, we could.
Yeah, what I want to talk about is how are you, Glenn?
I'm doing really
when you come home.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to get back to getting home. Let me tell you. I'm really curious though, guys. How easy is this for people to use and implement? Because there's a lot of fear around making change, in particular, especially when you're thinking about hoteliers wanting to ensure that they don't lose out on any potential income.
Yeah, well, I'll start with this one.
Mhm.
Mike mentioned the different operator segments of the hotel business, and the kind of the underlying technology and the sophistication. We actually want to try to match the experience, that tool experience, to the type of hotel or
Right.
to the type of user. So a revenue director of a large, sophisticated hotel or resort, they have an environment that's appropriate for that hotel and for their skill set or their experience levels. But for an owner of an independent franchise property who's very busy, to put it mobile first on their phone and give them a very elegant interface to accomplish all their business needs right in the palm of their hand, right at the moment of need, we're doing that as well.
Wow.
We actually have a motto
Mhm.
both through our client service organization and our client operations organization, and in the way that we build our product, which is moment of need. And you have that moment of need through Walk Me, Show Me's, or in-application help at the palm of your hand. But it also goes up to matching the true business need that you see in the hotel segment. So let me give you an example here. You can have a Woodspring hotel, or you could have a limited service second hotel in Alabama. They have a very different need. They can use the same capabilities.
Mike, let me just explain Woodspring for people who don't know it.
Sorry.
That's more of an extended stay
Correct.
type of brand. Okay,
Yeah.
please
You
continue.
can have extended stay brand. You can have a limited service brand. As you go up the scale, depending upon the management and such, there's going to be different needs.
Right.
So we build other things on top of the revenue management technology that allow for other jobs that need to be done. For example, we have a product called Optics, which is a business intelligence layer that basically allows you to have cluster revenue management, and you have multi-property management capabilities, so you can see how the properties of that revenue manager for that 15 property cluster works. All of those things combined together allow for a stackable mix to meet whatever needs your business strategy or your management strategy requires.
That's right.
Wow, that's complex, but it's a little heady there, Mike.
So you have to go slow for Glenn.
Yeah.
Glenn, I apologize. I've known you long enough. I guess
you overestimated me.
Big crayons.
If you look at a convention like this pre-pandemic, and you look at it now, what is the owner, the same owner, right?
Right.
What is he like or she like now as opposed to pre-pandemic? Are they more optimistic? Are they more skeptical? Where do they stand right now, their mindset, in your opinion? Or is it the same?
Well, I guess
I don't know that I've got a really crisp difference, Anthony, from pre-pandemic to now. There's certainly a rich attendance here again this week. It was similar audience last year at this time, or in August. Thank you. But certainly, I'm seeing plenty of optimism. People are asking smart questions again, like we said earlier.
I do. I have an opinion.
Yeah.
The questions, we mentioned it earlier, the questions that are being asked are more sophisticated, which means the owner operator has become more judicious about their business. Now, this segment has always been an amazing business person segment, an amazing owner operator group. But what they've realized is that they can employ other tactics to be able to solve a vexing problem that has always been around.
Right.
Labor. How do I build generational wealth for my family? And what are the right tool sets and automations to do that? And I think that's the difference between pre-pandemic and now. Pandemic forced some decisions and forced an acceptance.
That's a great way of putting it. We've been talking about accelerating the trends, but I like what you're saying, forcing the change to actually happen. So people that were reticent to make change were finally pushed up against the wall and saying it's now or never.
It's now or never.
Right? So in that vein with the now or never approach, how are you thinking about I see a shift between just the revenue per available room and the thoughtfulness behind how much can each individual customer bring to the to the bottom line. Are you able to think about that at all with your technology?
Yeah, absolutely. It goes back to thinking about profits rather than revenue, right? Of course, you're going to want to look at the revenue per available room, but in reality, what you really truly care about is all the components of driving NOI.
Right.
that's what that's what pays the mortgage.
Yeah.
And then you stack up the needs and the behaviors and the education and enablement items to get to that point to where you can take people down the construct of how does it impact NOI.
Right.
Right.
As I say, you can't take occupancy to the bank. You can only take money to the bank, right?
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead. You're probably going to ask the same question.
I was going to follow up on your question.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Go ahead.
When you're speaking to a client, how many times have you heard this? If I get your system, can all the third parties go away? Does that mean no more third parties?
Funny. I've been having a lot of conversations with people about that this morning myself. Garth, you want to take that one?
I have heard that, Anthony. I certainly have heard that over the years. I don't hear that, frankly, quite as much today as I used to.
Right.
I think there is a better appreciation of the role that third parties play.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they'll ever go away. Certainly some hotels have very lean mixes of third-party contributions based on their location and their demand drivers.
Right.
Right.
So I think what you're really talking about, guys, is that sense of fear that everybody had that these third parties were going to come in and consume all of the business, the profits, at least in the business. And now we're at the point where people are realizing they can control certain elements and utilize certain sites in certain ways as part of their overall strategy,
Yep.
as opposed to feeling like, they're just giving all their money away.
That's right. That's right. Well, and certainly some of the value of already mentioned technology and automation is getting the price optimized and into the selling systems very, very quickly. And so in some cases, I'll give a simple example. If you're, charging $100 and all of a sudden we've got a rate optimized distribution and now we're selling it for 110, 112, that third party is still getting their commission, but you're also making more money along the way.
Yeah.
Right.
And the secret is to get the information into the system way in advance, so 6 months out what conventions are going to be in town, what are the demand drivers.
That's
and
right.
and I think finally people are starting to realize that it's taken 20 years for the HOA community and other communities within our industry to finally get there, where it's like we have to be putting this in the system 6 months out. So when you go to your system and you look and you say, okay, on Saturday night, the rate's $500, but the rate on Monday is $100. Why? And it has a 3-night minimum. Why? Well, you just go to the system and says, well, you have this convention, that convention, and the other convention. This one dropped, that didn't drop, that picked up. This a wedding block. Like, it's so complicated, but it's so simple if you have their system because it's all there.
Yeah, right. It comes back to an old axiom that Garth and I's former coworker, actually lives here in Boston, he used to say is, do you know what the system knows, and does the system know what you know?
Right.
And it's a pretty simple thing. And if you do that, then you can ensure that you're always taking the appropriate things into consideration. That's what drives trust that we talked about at the beginning.
It speaks about a natural relationship with the technology.
Right.
What does the user understand about the technology, the core concepts that Anthony just alluded to, and then the speed at which we can actually deploy some of that. And
you can have this system and have a really good person from the hotel kind of in charge of it, and then that person leaves, and all of a sudden it looks like it's the system's fault, but it's not. It's bad information in, bad information out. It's you've got to, like you said, keep your hotel room clean. You got to keep your system clean, because if your system is purring, you're making money.
Right.
That's right. You're right.
When you were talking about conventions being in town and all of that, I can't help but think of concerts that suddenly pop up.
Yeah.
You guys are able to understand when that sort of thing is happening and give the revenue managers that intel that right now, you better raise rates because something important has been announced like that.
Yeah. So Anthony was scratching at it before.
Yeah.
You can proactively enter into the technology, these special events, and tell the system to expect something. But there are certainly outliers where they're unannounced or unanticipated special events.
Right.
Something could be a weather event for all I know. But the technology actually sees deviations from expected booking patterns and will react very, very quickly.
Right.
And in many cases, it'll alert the user of the hotel. You're like, hey, something changed.
Good.
Go look.
Well, thank you for saying that, because the example that I always bring up, and it's my I'm required by law to try to bring up fish shows as much as possible. But as soon as they announce the summer schedule, right, everybody's calling to book their hotels, so the operators need to react lightning fast in order to be able to maximize profitability. Now, I was lucky enough this summer that the general manager of a hotel that I stayed at last year for some shows called me up and he goes, dude, they're going to make an announcement in a little while. I got your room. Don't worry about it. Right. But then I saw all of a sudden everybody else start to try to make reservations.
But to your point, point, Glenn, if the system is doing its job, right, whether the person in charge of putting in fish is coming in 3 months, or not, what'll happen is all of a sudden they'll see 6 bookings on Thursday out of nowhere. And it's like, why that happened? And it'll alert you to say, hey, look at this date. So you may get 1 or 2 rooms or a couple rooms in there a little bit less expensively, but immediately it'll tell you, hey, we got an opportunity.
And let me tell you, that happened to me on the good side for a particular casino resort in Connecticut, where I got in my room, and then like a day later, everyone was paying $300 a night more than I was. So, yeah, I'm patting myself on the back for that.
And with turnover, the way it is, I was doing a speaking gig yesterday in Alabama, and there were hotel people in there, and I was just like, listen, we don't have staff. We're not getting staff. We're all going to be at 60% of where we were in 2019 for the next 30 years. Deal with it. Now, the way you deal with it is you have a technology like this that allows it to do the thinking, because you're not going to rely. And I think that's why maybe you're getting more questions and more people really paying attention, because they realize the employees aren't coming back. We're going to have some employees. We're going to treat them well. Hopefully they'll do a good job. But at the end of the day, technology is going to start running hotels. Yesterday we had, tell them what we had yesterday we're basically checking in with, face to face with the guest that's in a different country, with an employee that's in a different country.
Wow. That's pretty cool right there.
Right. Tell them about that. What was that technology?
So if you, and just so the audience knows, if you check our podcast videos from Monday, where we had the opportunity to talk to AHOA's outgoing chairman, Vinay Patel, and incoming chairman, Neil Patel, Neil was talking about this great technology that they have in their hotel. It's a different way of a check-in kiosk. There's actually a human being on the screen. They could be located in India. They could be located in Houston. It doesn't really matter, but you actually have that human interaction. And then the computer prints out the keys, takes credit cards, gives cash, all of that kind of stuff. And Neil was saying that it's really helping them with the labor crisis, because they're dealing with employees in India who work for this company. He's paying $7, $8 an hour instead of 15, 20 for a job he couldn't fill anyway, not trying to take any money out of Americans' hands, but he's helping increase the lifestyle of people in India who are getting paid 3 times more than they normally would, while increasing guest satisfaction. So that's like a real big win-win-win, and a clever solution that we've never seen before.
Sounds like it has a great benefit for people too.
Right.
On all sides.
Right. And what Neil was saying is it's now allowing him, when he has the employees, they could be more like guest service representatives and again, we've been using these words that he used, turning the transactional into the experiential. And that's kind of getting what you guys are doing. You don't have to spend all of that time doing the research and the focus. A lot of the information just appears magically through the art of ones and zeros, and it allows those people to utilize their time in other ways.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Anthony, I think you got anything else over there?
No, I'm good. I think I've asked all the relevant questions. I'm making believe I used to run hotels. I
Well,
I could hear it, Anthony. I could see it.
Yeah. So what do you got before we wrap up? I can't help but talk a little bit more about AHOA and over here. You guys have been making a conscious effort to make better interactions with the AHOA community. What are you getting in terms of that mutual feedback with the giving and the getting from this incredible group of people here?
Yeah, the giving and the getting. The mutual feedback is that we have to work together to be able to build products that aren't just sophisticated. It's the working together with the franchisees, the franchisors, because you have to give a lot of credit to the brands as well. They're helping build enablement programs for adoption, so people understand how to use this technology. What we're getting, so we're giving some of that. What we're getting from it is the real. How do users actually see this? How do they use it? And we take that back and we make sure that we incorporate all of those things that we hear from anybody that we interact with on the floor, and incorporate that into our future strategy plan.
Could you guys give me an example of something that you've heard from an AHOA member or some other hotelier that you're like, great idea, we got to do that?
Yeah, I'll give you a very specific example. We've got a product that we've got some things that we may be announcing here between AHOA and NYU. We'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah.
But we were interacting with a user last night, and that person showed me the mobile app and said, why is this like this? I can't do anything. I can't make a decision on it.
Right.
I don't understand the parameters and the bounds. And that's a very tactical example, but what we actually listened and then pinged the product development team and said, this isn't solving the problem that it was intended to. Here's the feedback, and they're turning that around, and they're going to make some changes within the next couple of weeks to solve the problem that they thought they solved, but haven't solved yet.
That's interesting. Anthony, go on.
The thing that I find is if you are able to convince somebody to bring on your technology, the ability to turn around their problems and implement it for the long haul is the critical part.
Yeah.
There's so many times when technology comes into a hotel and then it takes, we have a ticket. And okay, what does that mean? Well, Wednesday, the person comes off vacation from Tahiti, and by next Monday, in year 2017 or 2027, we'll get that fixed. The turnaround, and there's one company I won't mention, we all know them, the biggest POS system in the world in our industry. And
what does POS stand for in this case? Sorry.
Probably.
Just
the biggest system in the world, and good luck trying to get them to respond to a call.
Right.
I mean, the number one thing you'll ask somebody, what system are you getting? They'll say this system, but the service sucks. And everybody gets it because it's a good system, but the service sucks. If you can have a good technology with amazing service, it's better than having amazing technology with mediocre service.
Right. So, Garth, in that spirit, how has you being a hotelier really helped you not only communicate with the customer base, but help implement some of the solutions that have become so critical to IDeaS?
Yeah, my entire career at IDeaS, for better or for worse, I've put through the lens of my hotel experiences.
Right.
So it's a little bit of walk a day in your shoes. I know in many, many cases exactly what that hotelier is going through when we have a conversation around adopting revenue management technology. The things that they say, the way they describe their business, I have the context of operating a hotel, which I think makes for a richer conversation, frankly.
Right.
I'm able to answer questions with a bit more specificity and context.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, if you and I are sitting down and I'm consulting for a hotel, you'll probably appreciate my questions because my questions aren't wasting your time. Because, if you know what you're talking about, you appreciate it's when people you're trying to explain the question they're asking. You're not even giving them the answer. Let me explain the question you're asking and why that's not the question you should be asking. You should be my company. We spend a lot of time saying, ask this question. That's a waste of everyone's time. Don't ask that question. So when you have where they say educated consumer is my best customer. Wasn't
that the Sims suit people?
Yeah. But it's true.
Yeah, for sure. Anthony, you're completely right with all of that. I was just gonna say something and I totally blanked out.
No, just keep saying, Anthony, you're completely right.
Anthony,
it'll come back to you.
You are completely right, as always.
That's incompletely right.
But I'll tell you, Anthony, that's why I think it's so important that all of the suppliers that are out here, no matter what sector they're in, they give the folks that are doing the sales real training to understand what the nuances of the hospitality industry are all about. I've been struck by the fact so many times that sometimes they don't understand the real problems and how to understand the language of the hotelier because they may have come from other sectors in the marketplace. So it's good to see that you guys are avoiding the pitfall.
We're not avoiding it. We're actively investing to not fall into it.
Right.
And I think there's a major difference because when it comes to enablement, it's really making sure that you invest so you can teach the teachers, you can enable the companies to build programs that will help them teach their users. And those things raise all boats.
Right.
So in this environment, in this industry, with technology, finally you're seeing it. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's technology, stupid," and we're probably the pandemic pushed it up 10 years.
Mhm.
What has that been like? Is it? Are you seeing that? Are you feeling it? And basically, my question is how paranoid are you that somebody else is coming in, may do it better? There's another environment that they're going to be able to figure out. Like, I would imagine, I'm a paranoid person when it comes to business constantly. I'm always trying to outdo my competition. So, where are you right now when it comes to that mindset?
Mike, you want to take that?
Yeah, in the mindset of, is there going to be a disruptor? Is there somebody going to come in?
Are you paranoid? Because if you're in your business, I imagine you have to be very paranoid.
Of course, we're paranoid, but that's what drives the continued innovation, the continued focus on ensuring that we are one step ahead. And if we are not one step ahead, we're one step better. And I think that's a really key thing to keep in mind, is that we can innovate, but if your innovations are too far forward and it's not consumable, then you need to step back. And then if someone innovates faster than you in a certain aspect, double down on just being that much damn better.
Well, and we talked about it a little while ago in comments, but we're making a very deliberate effort to get closer to the voice of the user. In this case, these franchisee operators. And Mike talked about the closed loop process to bring their feedback and their needs right back into our development cycle. The shorter time turn that we can get will create more accuracy in the roadmap that we have, more adoption, more innovation. Users are using it properly. They understand it. They ask questions. They tell us more what they need. So the more we can tighten that process up, the better off we're all going to be.
Well, that drives trust. And so I think it goes back to what Garth mentioned earlier, is that, yes, we have a technology product. Yes, we have data scientists. Yes, we have developers that are writing code in machine learning and AI. But none of that works without us being first and foremost in the trust business.
Right.
We have to teach users how to trust the software and how to trust their ability to use it.
It's interesting. Go ahead, Glenn.
I was going to say, as technology continues to develop, how is that giving you the ability to make this product even better? I mean, beyond just a suggestion, but I mean the technology itself.
So the technology itself, I'll take this because I'm pretty passionate about it.
Yeah.
The technology itself, if you think about where we've been 30 years ago to where we are now and where we're going to be 20, 30 years from now, we've made a concerted effort to make our product more easily malleable to a specific business situation, so we can drive more relevancy to whom we're building it for. Breaking the system out into APIs, decreasing the level of integration issues that you may have, or time, making sure that you're optimizing the business, the revenue, the profits, the ancillary revenue streams, all of those things that go into that NOI calculation. But we've been investing in making sure that our product can continually be flexible enough to build better for the future. That has been our main focus, so we can focus getting up into the commercial organization.
Right. So I got to ask you, Garth, you've been in this 15 years. Computers have become a lot more powerful in that time. How has that allowed you to dig deeper into the swaths of information that are out there to help you arrive at the perfect pricing strategy?
Yeah, thanks. Well, I was thinking about your last question as well. I'll try to tie these together. I mean, it's just something really simple. Like when IDeaS started, this was all on-premise server-based heavy systems, and going over, evolving over time from a server-based to a private cloud to a public cloud to enable other microservices capabilities to be enabled on an ad hoc basis for individual properties is an incredible capability.
Right.
Now, your second part of the question was really, how can we bring in more? Well, we've got more processing power, more web services. We can bring in external data sources to augment a hotel's internal data source, all their booking and reservation activity. But now I can see other bits of data from around the industry. We fold it all together and can process all that simultaneously to generate better forecasts and better pricing decisions.
So how do you get around the brand's revenue management for hire, where they have maybe their own proprietary system? And since a major part of the business is controlled by the brands today, How do you? That must be a very big challenge.
Do you want to handle that, or you want me?
Go ahead.
Really very nervous.
Look, there's no doubt that what you bring up can be a problem, but it's not really been a problem as of late. It's more of an opportunity. The time is now, and I think it's not just the individual owner operators here at Ahoe, it's also the brands. They realize that the time to invest into drive, whatever it be, hospitality 2.0 or rebuilding their systems. So we do two things. We work with them, and we also, in many cases, help them build the future strategy. This is about being egoless.
Mhm.
It's about being about the industry and ensuring that if you go into a brand and they have a previously built revenue management system, you ask simple questions. Is it working for you in all of your segments?
Yeah.
Are there opportunities that we can help you find new ways? And we work with them, even if they have a bespoke revenue management system.
Anthony, let me answer your question this way as well. Many of these brand level companies, brand level tools, just like the hotels, as to your point earlier, staff is tough to come by. It's tough to come by for brands as well.
Right.
And so many of these brands are having a conversation inside their companies about, do we want to be in the software development business?
Yep.
And so many of them are making some tough choices to say, let's look outside of our office for this expertise and not try to maintain these proprietary tools.
And the people that are maintaining it are very, very, very junior. I've hear day after day after day after day that people are getting promoted. They're like 23 years old and they're running multi-million-dollar hotels. And again, nothing against youth. Glenn was young once, and
Thanks.
I
You
was,
still are, my friend.
I was a young general manager, and I was, but you still need the experience. Like you need to have it. So yes, I agree with you. And you're seeing it. And I love what you said, hospitality 2.0. I'm going to use that because that's where we are. Like we've been the same way, literally from, I would say we haven't really changed much from the way we operate hotels outside of, the obvious technology, but the way we see our employees and the way we kind of go about scheduling, the way we go about, well, you have to clean the room every day. You have to do this. You have to do that.
Yep.
It's been this way for 100 years. So it really is hospitality 2.0.
Yeah, I can't take credit for that. You have to give Arabu credit for hospitality 2.0. So I'm actually going to one up it and call it hospitality 3.0.
Nice.
Right?
I'm gonna up it and say hospitality 6.0.
That's yeah. I mean, whatever.
We're agile
version you're
development
has been
on.
thrown.
As you can see, we've iterated 3 versions from
Right.
now. But to make a final point on that is, it's work. You talk about revenue managers for hire and these programs that the brands have built out and such. In many cases, we enable the user, we enable the brand, we enable the consultants that they bring in to run the revenue management for hire organizations. It doesn't necessarily matter who it is. Our job is to teach them how to be successful, no matter how young or old they are. My organization, I run an enablement and engagement organization that teaches revenue management practices. We've built out certification programs. So they can go back and show their boss that they're certified in utilizing these aspects, put that on their resume and CV. So you can then again build trust as you're going through your turnover.
Right. Awesome. Anthony, I think we've reached the end of this conversation. Gentlemen, this has been a pleasure. How can we learn more about IDeaS? How can we find you? And I'll put this up one more time. Give us a good plug.
Give us a ring and give us a visit at IDeaS.com. You can find anything and everything you need. You can even chat interactively with some of our folks. We look forward to seeing you.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you guys.
All right. Take care.
Thank you,
All right,
Glenn.
just to hang out 1 second while we wrap this up. Anthony, that was fun. Another great week of shows over here, man. That was that's awesome.
It was a lot of fun. And talk about fun. I want to mention this up front, but I'm going to mention it now.
Uh-huh.
I was at an event yesterday for the United States Air Force, for the Community College of the Air Force. They're celebrating 50 years. And I had an opportunity to speak to some of the soldiers and some of the troops.
Mhm.
And I got to tell you something. I was doing a Q&A and, I was rolling and I was being honest about my career and my life and everything. And this young lady comes over to me in uniform. And it shocked me. And it's probably one of the best moments of my career. And she said, that was a gift. And the time we spent with them and whatever I said in that conversation. I don't know what it was where I grew up, with my career, whatever it was. There was something she was going through that, and I helped her when whatever I said. And she didn't tell me because she was upset and she walked away because she had something to do. But like, it just struck me that whether we're on this show or whether we're doing Q&As or whatever we're doing, so many people are struggling right now. That moment that you have an opportunity to talk to people, make sure you're using it to really empathize and tell them about your struggles, because that really hit me yesterday. Being a young soldier when I was 21, I was in the military, and what I was going through, and I wanted to get my college education, and I wanted to give back, and I wanted to do all these things, and to feel so lost. So that was the best part of yesterday. Yes, it was a great day, but that was the best part of yesterday. It was like that I felt like I maybe helped somebody.
That's absolutely beautiful. Nothing better than that. All right. I'm not going to do any more plugs for our stuff. I think we need to end it right on that. So we'll see you guys next week. There's going to be no Friday night audit tomorrow night because it's Good Friday. It's Passover, all of that kind of stuff. I trust you'll all be drinking, just not with us at 5 p.m. We'll see you next week. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
See y'all later.
Happy Easter.